Bahamas. In fact, the eye is now basically between Cuba and some of the islands in the Bahamas and having some very adverse effects on many of those islands, including some portions of north and eastern Cuba. The forecast track does have this approaching our state here in the next day or two. In fact, here's the latest from the National Hurricane Center as of the 11 o'clock advisory. 150-mile-per-hour Category 4 hurricane. That's a strong Category 4. 157 would make this a Category 5. The track is west-northwest at 14, pressure now at 927 millibars. So let's track it as it continues to approach our state. Still on that west-northwest track through tomorrow, and then at some point tomorrow it is going to make that north-northwest turn, which is the highly anticipated turn that we've been talking about for so many days. And the degree of that turn will have an impact, or will decide rather, who gets the worst of this thing. And now the latest track, that's the red line, has shifted further towards the west. So that does mean greater impacts are possible in southwest Florida than originally thought. Of course, we tell folks not to focus on that red line specifically, but to keep in mind that the entire cone of uncertainty, we could see some very significant and some damaging impacts. So landfalls expected to be some point early Sunday, still as a Category 4. Is this not a whole lot's looking likely to really significantly weaken this thing, and then basically bisects the state here, basically in North Florida by Monday morning, and then quickly weakening into a tropical storm or tropical depression thereafter as it makes its way through sections of Georgia, Alabama, and possibly into Tennessee by the middle of the week. So here's what we've got now. Changes constantly from the Hurricane Center, and this is to be expected. Hurricane warnings now in effect. The majority of southwest Florida basically includes South Florida as well. Glades, Hendry, and Collier County under the gun with a hurricane warning. That means hurricane conditions are expected there in about 36 hours. Hurricane watch also in effect, and we're talking about conditions there that are that means hurricane watch conditions are certainly possible in Charlotte and Lee County, as well as points to the north. And also watching a storm surge warning that's also been issued, or rather extended, from basically anywhere in Collier County, coastal Collier, all the way up towards Venice. So coastal Charlotte, even up towards Sarasota County. It does also include coastal Lee and inland Lee County as well. That's because storm surge conditions are certainly possible, and the latest projections do show that anywhere from 5 to 10 feet, in fact 6 to 12 feet rather, of storm surge is possible with this hurricane. So still a very big deal as we continue to track it. In terms of the wind field, as we approach late Saturday, overnight Sunday, basically all of the region will be dealing with at least tropical storm force winds. That's winds in excess of 34 miles per hour. Then overnight Sunday, early on Sunday, likely to get into the hurricane force winds. And keep in mind, the eye is about 50 miles or so, and the hurricane force winds themselves extend out 70 miles out from the center. And as a result, there is a greater chance now that the majority of southwest Florida will be dealing with some impacts from hurricane force winds, and that could mean some damaging conditions across the region with winds in excess of 74 miles per hour. Some of the forecast projections are even showing that winds in excess of 100 miles per hour will be possible in parts of the region. So notice the winds beginning to diminish as we approach overnight Sunday into Monday. We're still dealing with tropical storm force winds through at least the first half of Monday as that storm system continues to pass north of the region. So here's the latest on our predictor. The eye approaching the state from the south, possibly moving through the Keys, could have impacts, basically, could see landfall basically near Marathon. Very similar location to where Donna made landfall in 1960 could be possible. And then we could see the eye basically pass anywhere between Monroe County to Miami-Dade County, and then up across the state of Florida will be possible with very adverse effects. Remember the eye, that's where the strongest winds are, around the eye wall, and that's where we're going to see some of the most devastating conditions. Storm surge, of course, will be an issue, as well as a risk for tornadoes. In terms of rainfall, of course, we are going to be dealing with plenty of rain from this as well. We could see anywhere from 7, 8, 9, 10 12 inches of rain with some isolated higher amounts as well. You're going to see the most rain, of course, close to the center, but certainly with some of those bands starting to come in, are going to be seeing some significant totals elsewhere as well. In terms of other impacts, the tornado threat does exist. It is on the lower side, but it will again depend on where exactly the eye tracks. North and east of the eye, that's where we tend to see a greater risk for tornadoes. In terms of wind, we're at least going to get into tropical storm force winds. Hurricane force winds are likely. In fact, the threat is now high that we will be dealing with hurricane force winds. Also, the threat for storm surge exists basically anywhere from coastal Sarasota to coastal Collier County. That's a medium risk, and that's why most of the region is in that storm surge warning, a new product from the National Weather Service this year. Flooding also a concern with 5 to 15 inches of rain expected across most of the region. So today, the bottom line is this: it's your final day to prepare as early as tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening into the overnight hours. You're going to start to deal with some of those tropical storm force winds. In fact, the winds will start to pick up earlier than that, and hurricane conditions are expected across the region. This is certainly quickly becoming a reality, and we're expecting the worst conditions here Sunday night or Sunday morning through Monday morning. So can't stress enough, if you are ordered to evacuate, please do so. Please do so quickly. If you're not, we in fact urge you not to evacuate, because if you do, that would only cause more congestion out there on the roadways. But please rush your preparations to completion today. Figure out where you're going to hunker down. Make sure you've got all of the supplies that you need. You're parking your car in a safe place. You're thinking about all of these different things to really increase the chances of you really riding this thing out as safely as possible. So, of course, we will continue to update you throughout the day and throughout the next several days as conditions change. We will get through this storm, and of course, you can find more information on how to prepare on our website at fox4now.com.